You know, you're supposed to zealously defend your cases and put on evidence that, you know, will lessen the state's case. And she basically admitted that she didn't because there was reasonable doubt. I mean, that's just a cop-out. You know, they didn't get anybody to dispute the medical evidence. This is a medical case.
And then we have this, called a cigarette burn. It's not in the autopsy. And that's at the morgue. It's not at the crime scene. Nowhere does it show up on the film in the crime scene, which tells you it was done after her body was collected, as was the mark in the center of her forehead. How could she get that mark?
But as far as being premeditated, I don't think so. I think there were some afterthoughts that were quickly thought about at the time after the body was dumped there.
And maybe not alone. Maybe there was collaboration after the murder itself.
This is the Travis County ME's log-in, log-out sheet for Stacy Stites. It was brought in by Marcus, or whatever the MJN Funeral Home, Bastrop, no name. This body's evidence. You don't have change of custody with this body. Everything on this body that could happen at the ME's office now is questionable. There's no chain of custody. Anybody could do anything with the body.
As a matter of fact, during the evidentiary hearing, they asked Texas Ranger Wardlow, who was the lead investigator, why he finally dropped Jimmy Fennell as a suspect was logistics.
And Aaron, what do we know about this case?
Dick, we are literally getting information in even as we stand here. In fact, I'm waiting for an officer that can come outside and hopefully join us before we finish up. Now, what I can tell you, we'll start at the beginning. Stacy Stites was supposed to be at work at HEB here in Bastrop at about 4 o'clock this morning. Her fiance thinks she left the house at 3:30, and she did leave in his truck. Now, her boss at HEB called her mother when she didn't get to work and let her know that she was worried about her. They called the boyfriend, in turn, the fiance rather, and he put out an all-points bulletin on his truck, and they did track that truck down about 5:30 this morning here in Bastrop at Bastrop High School.
According to the statements by Officer Fennell, they took a shower and she went to bed about 8 o'clock. He stayed up watching TV until about 9 p.m.
When she got off work and they went upstairs together, they got undressed, they took a shower together, they got out of the shower and they got partially dressed, crawled into bed. He gave her a back rub while they talked about the wedding. She fell asleep. He went into the living room, fell asleep watching TV, came back, got in bed. He didn't see her leave.
You realize this entire case is built on Fennell's version of events, which, I might add, according to his own story, he slept through. So he says she left at 3 o'clock. Well, did you wake up? No, I was sleeping, but she would have left at 3 o'clock.
Then later on, he gives a statement. He gives a statement to the police stating that she doesn't eat breakfast before she goes to work. Well, how does he know? He's already stated that he never hears her leave. He doesn't know what she does in the morning.
Later on, after the investigation became a homicide investigation, the police did come out and canvass the neighbors here. However, what appeared rather strange to me is that they never searched the apartment to see if anything untoward happened in the apartment there.
One of the cops said, well, we couldn't have gone to the apartment and searched the apartment because we didn't have enough probable cause. I thought, that is the strangest thing I've ever heard.
That's the last place they know she came from. Quite naturally, you're gonna go to the last place that anybody's seen her, she was all right, and start from there, and then go to the end, okay? They didn't do that.
roughly about 5:30 on the morning of the 23rd, prior to Stacy's body being recovered. The pickup turned up, parked right in here. The only fingerprints recovered in the truck were those of Stacy and Jimmy Fennell. There was no physical evidence at all that shows that Rodney Reed was ever in that pickup truck.
Rodney was so brilliant. This man, I mean, is just so brilliant that he was able to wipe only his fingerprints off.
That's what Lisa Taylor said.
Yeah, the prosecution said Rodney wiped his own fingerprints off of the truck.
There were fingerprints found on the truck, which was hers and Jimmy Fennell's.
But he
he wiped his off.
Only his.
How brilliant.
Upon discovery of the pickup truck, Bastrop police officer Ed Salmella was made the lead investigator in the case. 3 months later, he died as a result of a gunshot wound that was declared self-inflicted and ruled a suicide.
At the funeral, there were people that he had thrown in jail that came in and said, you know, that was one officer, and these people had been in jail before, and said that was one officer that actually treated them like a human being all the way through the process of locking the door in the jail. So, you know, and that kind of made the family feel good about it, that he wasn't just another cop out there trying to throw people away. He tried to help them.
Ed was a Bastrop police officer, and a lot of black folks, you know, had runs into him and stuff like that. But if you ask me, he was a good person. You know, he wasn't a bad person. You know, me and him, we don't have our knockout, drag-outs, but, you know, it was basically like, okay, you do what I said do, other than that, it's cool. You know, he'll try to keep from taking you to jail. He'll talk to you to keep you from taking you to jail. That's the kind of person Ed was.
Ed Salmella is an investigator. He's a detective. Him and David Board are the two detectives for the Bastrop Police Department. Ed Salmella is the one who was assigned to this case. This is Ed Salmella's report. I walked around and unlocked the passenger side door using Jimmy's keys, and then I opened it without disturbing any evidence it might have been left by the suspect. After opening the passenger side door, I started looking for any evidence that the suspect/suspects might have left. On the center hump, I noticed what looked to be some type of white body fluid. It appeared this white substance was still wet. How long in the state's theory could she have been in the passenger's floorboard? Now, if Rodney had abducted her and killed her, she could have been in the passenger's floorboard. For how much time?
According to the prosecution's theory, Rodney Reed murdered Stacy Stites sometime between 3:30 a.m., when she normally left for work, and 5:30 a.m., when the pickup truck was discovered in the high school parking lot.
Either way, in that short amount of time, either if she was killed at some other location and then driven to that thing, or whether she was forced to drive there, or whatever happened, which we likely will never know, that in that short amount of time, that all this sort of biological evidence could wind up on the floor in the form of some mucusy stuff, which you start to drain, you know? I mean, your body drains. It's a fact of life, you know? But would it have happened in that short amount of time?
Look at all the discharge, mucus discharge. Mucus discharge does not begin to develop in a body in 2 hours. That's why otherwise every crime scene you'd see the body with these fluids running everywhere. What's that on her tooth? It's a little tan, right? That's just, see, there's a little tan spot right above the tooth on the gum. When you see it in blow-up, it looks like a little BB-sized piece, one of those pieces of caramel-coated popcorn. And they're all over the passenger's floorboard where all the mucus is. And what does that tell you? It tells you she was face down on that floorboard.